Ich bin Etienne Hahn, ich bin zeitgenössischer Musikkomponist. Ich bin in Straßburg aufgewachsen und lebe gerade hier. I came to music because of a politician decision. The city of Strasbourg decided that the pupil of their school would go to the conservatory. So when I entered the primary school, we had a test about clapping and singing, and if we had the minimum of talent, we could go to the conservatory. My family did not do any music at all. My mother bought a book with a Zauberflöte, and we had Peter and the Wolf, and maybe some Requiem from Mozart or something, but that was all what was actually in the house. They were not big musician lovers. I was 8 when I started to play the trumpet, and after my first class I was able to play one tone. We had a small square in front of our house, and I was so proud to play my one tone that I went in the middle of the square and I played it for all the neighbors to hear. I remember the first time I played with an orchestra, it was kind of an extraordinary feeling to feel like everyone playing together. Everyone needs to breathe or to move the bow, or it's like something very physical, which I'm still aware of, and I wouldn't be aware without playing an instrument in that context. I progressively got bored of playing the trumpet. It was just interpreting other people's work, and so I switched to the composition class, and the composition class was like teaching contemporary music, and then I found like the freedom I needed in my compositions. In Strasbourg I can go see some smaller ensemble which also put videos and other arts in it. I can go see the Philharmonic Orchestra. It's very rich in terms of different things happening musically. A lot of things can inspire me. It can be a political event. It can be something about physics. There are some fascinating facts about quantum physics, for instance, and the way elements interact with each other, and then I can put that musically, how elements could interact with each other. Or sometimes it's more about the instrument, like I visit a player and I ask him to play things and he shows me things, and then like I discover a lot of things I didn't know about the instruments, and that pushed me to explore those aspects of the instrument. In contemporary music we have something called extended techniques, which is other ways, like non-traditional ways to play an instrument. There is a lot of different instruments and a lot of different ways to play them. By mixing other instruments, it makes a very magical sound. We don't know exactly where it comes from. If we understand the process of the magic trick, there's nothing really interesting. We're like, ah, yeah, we did it like this. But when we listen to sound and we don't understand who was playing and how it was made, then we can have a captivated audience to try to look who played actually, yeah. For the woodwinds, usually, like clarinet, flute, bassoon, you can play several tones at once. And it sounds unfamiliar. Basically it's between G and C, no? Or you can play very short sounds without putting the air, for instance, in the flute, but just putting the tongue. Yeah. The goal of the composer is to manage to fit that in a musical discourse. My style of composition is based on perception. I try to use elements that can be perceived even by a public that is not trained musically. If you have a certain atmosphere and suddenly a musical explosion, and then you have like the same atmosphere but altered, then your brain kind of understands that there is a change because of the musical explosion. The idea is that the story happens not on stage but in the mind of the people listening. The goal is really to create a place for interpretation for the public itself. I do hear what I'm writing, so I really control what I write. I would feel like a cook that is cooking a meal without knowing how the ingredient tastes, you know. So that's the manuscript of the orchestra piece. You have the woodwinds like flute, oboe, clarinet, bassoon, then all the brass section, percussion, harp, piano, and all the strings. And then I brought everything by hand with a criterium 0.3 millimeters, because if it's bigger, it's too big. So I can spend a day, and at the end I wrote 10 seconds. And at the end I have to put everything on computer. Contemporary music doesn't have such a big public, but it would be extremely weird for an artist not to take side, actually. When something looks wrong, we have to say it anyway. As a composer, I'm trying to be a drop in the ocean and hope it helps eventually. One very, very important aspect of our democracies is the access to informations. I composed an electroacoustic piece on Julian Assange in 2020. They are extracts of his voice.
Our market niche, if you like, is publishing information that others will not publish. Journalists.
And different people commenting on the situations, journalists, and also we can hear the voice of Donald Trump, which liked very much WikiLeaks at some point, and at some point a bit less.
The wonder of WikiLeaks.
The video was published in the middle of the first lockdown, and the piece is actually called Isolement, which means being isolated. For my piece of the Weltbühne, it was a matter of context. It's not a concert, it's a ceremony with also people talking. So I did several movements that could be played at different moments, so it could be interrupted. I chose instruments with a very big range because on the world scene there are a lot of things happening, with a piccolo very high, a double bass very low. And then metaphorically, the flux of information we get every day, and it doesn't stop, and suddenly it stops because there is some major event, like the Queen of England died, but then it starts over again with a tremendous amount of information. I'm trying to build something concrete enough so everyone can use their imagination, but then everyone is free to use their imagination as they want and project whatever they feel like is in the music.